Welcome to the Four Corners series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, and we are picking up on the 7th of August 1935. The game's on pause because in this part what I want to do is plan my rail network. But before that, as usual, a big thank you for your comments and feedback. You guys give me so much to think about, and I was really amazed at the feedback I got on the comments I made at the start of the previous video. And before I talk about that in a little bit, I want to emphasize that no matter what you guys put as a comment, whether you're picking up my mistakes, suggesting alternative ways of doing things, I never take any comment negatively, because I find it absolutely fascinating how different players approach the same problems and what they do. This is one of the reasons why I actually watch YouTube videos, not just to see how different players take on the same problems. And that's not just in Workers and Resources, it's all sorts of games. And I'm really fascinated by that process. And one thing that I'm half hoping for when the Cosmonaut Challenge is put into the vanilla game, I think this will be in February's update, is I'm half hoping that it will be on a fixed map. Now, I know some of you guys may not like that, but the reason why I would like to see it on a fixed map is simply because I would be really interested to see how different players approach a solution to a set of problems, i.e. the scenario, on the same map. How do they actually approach that problem? Now, one of the main aspects of the feedback that I did get was the fact that I completely missed a availability of a train in 1923. I've been playing this whole series on the assumption that I would not get access to a train until the mid 1930s, which is one of the reasons why I never actually pursued railways. And it is a little bit annoying that I actually missed that train, but a big thank you to the person who actually pointed out that there was a train available in 1923. Also, quite interestingly, quite literally, there's been a new mod published by, I think it's Calderian, who's actually decided to plug the gap between 1910 and 1923 with another steam train called La Fusilière. Now, I don't think it's actually historically accurate, as he says in the description. Now, if there's any modders who happen to watch this video, their trains were around in the 1890s, so I think it's perfectly legitimate to provide a probably fairly low powered train with some rolling stock, especially especially as the fact there's now coal-fired fueling stations, so that you could literally have a very basic train running in the 1900s. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is still railroad related, and this is the Community Report 40, which was published on the 6th of December 2021 if you're watching this in the future. And there is a feature in there which the devs might think it's just a new addition to the game, but it completely changes my approach to railways. That is that we are going to get rail distribution offices. To me, that is a complete game changer, because one of the reasons why I've never been a big fan of railways, especially when I'm first starting out a series, is that one of the problems is that when a train comes in, it snatches everything, takes it away, and just keeps shunting up and backwards and forwards. This is the reason why, if any of you watch my Seven Corners series, I lay out my kind of production areas, not allowing trains to have a direct access to the main production storage, because what can happen is the train can keep stealing everything, and then you end up with a big pile of resources in the wrong place. I must admit, when I read that they were now adding train distribution offices to the game, that completely changed my whole outlook on trains. Although it is going to change the way that we're actually going to have to lay out rail networks, because the way these distribution offices are going to work is that you're going to put trains in, you can have a mixture of wagons, and then you set them up exactly the same way as the road distribution offices. But of course, the things you need to be aware of is that the game will be assembling a train to go and move the goods according to the usual percentages, but it has to be able to find a route, and you have no control over that route. So, for example, if you happen to put in a passenger station or something in the wrong place, this distribution train could be going through it. Also, it may suddenly go off all around the map because that's the route it needs to find. So that means that going forward, when we lay out railways, we're going to need to consider whether we're going to be using a distribution office in that area. On the aesthetic side, though, it would be quite cool to build a train marshalling yard with maybe a couple of rail distribution offices in it, so it's lays out, so it looks like you've got a marshalling yard there. Apologies for the slight digression, and we better get down to doing some planning. The reason we're looking at this area here is simply because this is where I want my construction office to be, and the depot, and this is where we're going to take the trains out, primarily because we've got a source of steel here. Eventually, once it starts all getting connected up, see the conveyors are there. We've got a source of gravel here, and slightly out the way, but we've also got a source of prefabs here. Now, again, in that comment, somebody mentioned about the fact that they had to interpret the availability of prefabs, and I must admit, when I actually read it, I didn't fully understand it, but now I'm looking at this design process, I'm actually understanding it, because if you look at all the railroad construction offices here, they all require prefabs, in especially the if we come to here, you find the rail construction office. So technically you can't build a rail construction office unless you've got access to prefabs. Of course, you can always import them, and I think probably the best place to start is I'm kind of thinking that we're not going to, I mean, this is just going to be our basic track layout area here, and I think this is the office that I used in my 7 corners. You can see it can store 30 tons of gravel, 50 tons of steel, 45 tons of prefabs. And I've kind of thought a bit about what type of track I want to lay. I must admit, originally I was going to build wood based, but I think because I've got access to prefabs, I think we will use the concrete based railway. Of course, I'm not going to electrify, we're going to go for steam. And that, again, that's another issue with these new distribution offices. If you're going to be running a diesel fueling system, you're going to need to make sure that one of two things. You're either going to, I'm assuming that we'll be able to put fuel in the distribution office, but also the trains that running out of the distribution office will need to be able to find diesel refueling stations as well. Anyway, we're going to go directly for the concrete based railway, just simply because I've got access to prefabs. If I hadn't had access to prefabs, I would have built the wood based one. Anyway, let's just get down to here. We are going to go with this, and what I'm going to try and do is build something that's a little bit like something I built not in the divided series, but the series I did before that. And I think if we can put that there, we've also got a couple of drop-off points here, so we're going to kind of come in here like that. I think if we put that there and then drop a road in down to there. Now what I would like is I'm going to put the depot down about here. The reason for that is that we're not going to buy that many trains, so we can afford to run the track over that road there. And plus this is green, because one of the painful processes of laying this track out is if I can't keep everything in the green. I'm going to put that there. Now the next thing I want to put in is a, what we call it, where is it, cargo. I want a aggregate loading thing here. I'm going to put that round, zoom in a little bit. And we want the track to run up past there. I had a feeling this could be painful. Let me just turn on this. I could get this. We got that up there, haven't we? I really wanted it here. Maybe, oh, I can get that there. So what we may have to do is just bend this a little bit. Maybe to get this, say, about there. Because I don't want to do too much terraforming, because terraforming using the available vehicles at the moment is a little bit painful. So rather than have a nice neat straight line, we're going to have to just put that in there, and then we're going to kind of come out here like that, and we're going to run directly into there. Run into there, and just for a little bit of completeness, and put you there, and then we're going to bring you out here and run that there. I don't think, do I need a crossover here? It's going to be a bit tight, isn't it? I think what I'll probably do is put the crossover here. We got this track coming out here. I think we'll put a crossover just there. Now this little bit here is going to be really just for the depot and the construction office here. So what this is effectively going to be is a bit of two-way rail from here, because we got the station there. I think what I'm going to do is, before we push out this way of the track now, I want to lay out my gravel construction, because in the last part I put some quarries up here, and I think, well, what we really need first is what we call it. I put a large aggregate. I flip that. That brings this road to this side, but we need to, kind of, part of me says that we can come down with conveyors from there. If I put this in about here, like that. Come on, game. I'll put it anywhere as long as it turns. Oh, we got green there. It's gonna be a bit awkward, but maybe slightly smidge green. See if I can kind of creep this out a little bit. Let's bring this a little bit further south. Oh, look at that. That's brilliant. We can get, oh, that's even better. I don't really want to crowd those cable, the heating pipes, but we can get that there. And then what I could do is get that road out there. Oh, look at that, brilliant. And then I'm just going to come clear of the conveyor connectors. You can come into there, and you can come to there. Now I'm going to put a processing area in here. Oh, which one is? We're going to use this modded version. Now this is a modded version of the vanilla, because the only real difference is it's got 2 factory connections, and it's also got a conveyor input connection. And this is capable of producing 280 tons of gravel, and I think, to be honest, this is going to be quite sufficient for what we're going to be doing. That there. See if I can. Oh, that went green. So I know it's not a very good decision to decide where you want to build something based on whether it goes green, but my wrist is not quite up to holding down the mouse for very long periods of time. So we can get that connection there. You've got a direct connection there, and then what we can do then is come into, where is it? We need an aggregate pickup point. You need a truck unloading point, probably about here. I put that about there, like that. You fine. Bring a road off here and bring you round like that. We could bring the road into there, couldn't we? No, like that. Then what we can do is we can drop off into here. Just accept that road there. I'm not going to connect it because I think this road is already under construction, and therefore I'll just leave that alone. And what that means is we can then put a conveyor. Nice to do this in one span like that. Kind of flatten it out a little bit like that. And then we can put sink the footpath into there. What that will do is give me a gravel production area here, which will mean that we can then distribute gravel across the map, which I think would be quite useful, because out in the center here where we want to go, there won't be much gravel. So if we got the ability to send gravel out here, we should be fine. Now comes the fun bit. For a moment we're double tracking. And what I would like to do is run you out like that. Of course, we're going to need a over there. Now, one of the things I have been thinking about is whether it's worth running single track around the map so I could lay the track faster. I want to double track this area because this is going to get quite busy in the long term. And I think the first thing I want to do is back curve here, because I want to have some form of rail connection to this port here, because in the last part I put in this aggregate loading here, but we could probably use conveyors to get to that, because we got this output here. For example, just to show you, I could pick up that and then possibly could run a conveyor down to the aggregate port. But we've got a pumping harbour there, and I was thinking about putting a general cargo port here, though now possibly it might be better to put it here. But there's I think there's an oil field here, isn't there? Just put there. Yeah, we got. Let me just see if I can. I'm going to put this in as a reminder. That's 35%. If I put the pump jack in about here, we've got another one, 16%, 15%, 17%, and we've got 17% there, and I think we've got 18% there, so we got 3 more. Oh no, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26. We got 26 there. So we got 3 pump jacks there. I'm not sure I could get a port in there, so it's probably going to have to be there. So what I'm going to do is we've got crossover there, and we're in this on, so that might give me a little bit of a guidance. If I put you there, sometimes you've just got to get the game to play properly, and then we can. No. I think that's a waste of time. And then we're gonna kind of push this back this way, going there, going into that port, and then what we'll need to do is come off here like that. You can come into here like that. Now, as I say, we got a port down here, and I'm just wondering, we got a little bit of space here. Maybe we don't need to run the rail to the port. What I could do is we could put in a cargo station about here. Say, for example, about little bit of green there. And we'll get that connection there. And then what we can have here is storage. That's not aggregate. Wait. Ordinary general cargo storage, please, game. Put a warehouse here like that. And then on this side, modding again, sorry. Storage. See what we can find in the way of open stores. No warehouses. I want multi-rail open store. A nice big one here. This holds 1250. Plus it gives us that connection like that. So what we can do is put in large open store there. What that means is we'll be able to bring goods into here. Connect you up to there. Probably you down into there, and then we could bring this one off and into there. So that gives me rail connection there. I think what we're going to do, the next thing I want to do is push this out. Right, so the question is, where do I go from here? I need to curve around these fields to get to here, because we got a potential food pickup here. We've also got a single track rail connection over here. We've got the main railway line down here. My instinct is to put a junction that will allow me to go in this direction, and allow me to go up in that direction. Let's see where the iron is kind of on this area here. The coal is kind of up along the coastline there, and we got oil. So what we need is some kind of track running across the top of the fields here. Now this is where I think it comes into the realm of single track and double track, and I think if I run a track across like that, say something like that there, that allows me to go in that direction, allows me to go in that direction. If I come up to here, this, and then again, I'm just going to double track these sections. I have a nice big kind of open connector here. Now I have seen, I think it's Bilbao Jones, and I think is it Party Elite, putting some kind of elaborate clover leaf in, but I've never yet quite worked out how that is an improvement of efficiency. If any of you kind of understand how that actually works, feel free to chuck it in the comments. And I suppose it's also worth noting that I really wish this game had some way to store road junction and rail junction templates. Like if any of you played City Skylines, you'll be aware that some of the big complex motorway junctions could be defined as an asset, which can then be just imported into the game, and it'd be brilliant if there's some way that you could actually save that. Now we got a lot of track to lay out this way, and the rail line is up here, and I mean, how much? I mean, there's no other resources here. I'm kind of thinking, do I really need a double track line here? Because it's going to be very expensive to lay it. I think what we'll do is we got that there. Probably the best way to do this is we're going to lay a single track first. A bit of a curve in. We'll run it over the top of here, and we'll run across the top of these fields here. And I can't remember where I built the station's here, isn't it? So run out like that. here. Curve there. I think it's going to be okay to cross this mud road here. Don't particularly want to get into laying bridges there. Now there's a good chance we may want to export food crops, so if we can put a, I know this is a little bit kind of shaky, especially when you don't actually connect the track up. Again, yeah, it has connected. And take that. Up with that. We've got that line there. Yeah, I think what I am going to do is, this is on the inside track, so I can't see that many. I've already put the crossover in. There's a little bit of a contradiction in terms. So we could probably simplify this, couldn't we? So fine. Actually, yeah, let's just simplify this down a little bit then. I mean, I've really put all this in just to get the, we can use the bulldozer now. Right, I'm just going to bulldoze back to there. Why are you? Fine. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the normal crossover, and then what we'll do, it's right hand track, isn't it? And we'll put an extra siding there like that, run you up like this here, and then I think I put a track there, and what we so with that becomes a single line track through here, which means, and then we'll just see if this will work. I think these kind of clover like hook things are better off actually as what we call it. So that's actually on the wrong side now, isn't it? I need to take this out. So this needs to come out there and go back in like that. This line comes straight through here, all the way through to here. Finger twitch just as I was laying this out. So you can come that way. I'm sure I was right in the first place, wasn't I? And take it out again. You need to go from here, there, and you've got that there. Now I don't want single track over there. In fact, I think if I've gone to this trouble, I might as well just do the whole track, double track here. Because I think trying to put some form of single track mechanic here will just be a waste of effort. So you can come to there. Now going up to here, which is effectively in the middle of nowhere. I think what we can do, just to save the cost of playing too much track, you can come up to about there. Oops. Go onto that section there. And just kind of follow this through. Wow. Better make sure I can get the track out of here without leveling. Yep, that's good. And you can kind of just up to there like that. Got a problem. Actually, I think we'll be okay. We can put a kind of queuing siding there. Not that we're going to get more than 2 trains out of this. Actually, this works quite well, actually, because if I hook off you there. No. We've got the train coming in here. You can go into this siding here, and then we'll go back this way. And then we go back a little bit like that. You can hook into there. So that means the train can come in here. We can have 2 trains queuing up here. In fact, I'll make this into a single junction here. We take you back to there. So we got kind of sidings for 2 trains here, so they don't queue. We got that there, and then what I'm going to have to do is, if any of you guys know the ideal optimization for putting in passing track, feel free to chuck it in the comments. I think I'm just going to guesstimate it now, and what we're going to do is just put in a bit longer. Got 1 passing there, and got 1 there. If I put another one about here, I can say there, nice and long. If you put probably a super one here, and what that will mean is that the train can come up here, and then if we do happen to get multiple trains on this section of track, they can pass. Now what I've got here is this section here. We get nice and clear from here. This section I'm going to double track, simply because this could get busy if this becomes a major food production area, because we could possibly get another farm in over the back here, and also there's a chance that we might start bringing in crops as well. So I think if we double track this, wow, a long way. That gets you to there. We got a village here. Now I want to have the scope to expand outwards, so I think what I would like to just have a look here. So we got oil up at the top there. So what we're thinking, we got oil also in the center there. I'm kind of thinking a rail track running up. I would like to connect the track up to this one. Let me just go to here. I think we're looking to connect about here. Just roll that down here. Now, if I remember correctly, this is a single track. This is actually single track, and there's actually gaps in the track as well. Who the heck put those annoying gaps in the track there? So I think to begin with, we can turn this to our advantage. I can put, thank you game. I can double track that. Now, of course, this is wooden track, so we probably need to upgrade this as well. In fact, I think what we'll do is we'll come there, and I'm gonna upgrade this. Do that game. Can't you upgrade? Yeah, of course you can upgrade. So we'll upgrade this little section of track here. Oh, come on. There must be a dot in here somewhere. There it is. Work. Let's put you there. That kind of sets this track up for what we want to do. And we're here. And what we'll do is we'll put this big strong construction loop out this way. And like that. And we may want really long trains up here, so be quite extravagant with laying this out. Like that. I'll put you there. You there. Whoops. For a brief moment then I thought the track was broken. Of course, the advantage of doing this is that we can lay the track this way, which will help us with respect to connecting to the border up there. And again, I think for the moment, I mean, I can always replan this later on. Here's where kind of all the way back here, maybe a little bit further. We've got that connection there. And what I've got to do now is run for, I think if we're running, so for example, across the track, where are you? I think if we run, again, I'm just going to run the single track first, just like that. I think if I run it kind of parallel to the coast, but at the same time not too close, so that we can got the space to do things. So run through there, and the track is just there, so I kind of run through to about there, and then why is that not? Don't tell me. Why can't you? Yes, you can. And I think at the moment I'm not gonna actually decide on double track or single track. I'm just going to use that as a marker to get to the border. So we've now got a connection to there, which then effectively opens up access to the coal there. We've got options to get to the oil, iron as well. The irons are maybe a little bit shaky. I think that would be a very useful connection because the alternative is that I go straight out through the iron there. But I think if we go like that, it means we've got a possible rail connection to all these villages, because we're still going to be able to go up through the coast here to get established, to get to the oil. Really would like to get up to this area to get a proper oil production area going here. Once we've done that, we can bring fuel back round that way. So I think that is going to be our starting layout. Get back over here. Let's have a quick run through and see. So we've got the ability to bring stuff into here. There's enough track here that should, for some reason, I want to run something down to the port, would be okay. Kind of part of me says, in the light of that, this is the pumping harbour. This is actually the aggregate harbour. Let me just see if I can flip these. Move the road. If I can get the aggregate harbour in here. Whoops, the game seems to be running. Oops. It'd be great if I could get one game. Pumping harbour fitted in here. Why can't the? Oh, look at that. Oh, it's because of this, wasn't it? Obviously, look at that. We can get the aggregate harbour there, like that. shortens the distance we would have to bring the conveyor down. At the end of the day, it doesn't really make that much difference which way round these actually are. I don't want to shorten that road, so we'll now zap you. And then what we can do is put the pumping harbour container aggregate loading and put the pumping. I can get this a little bit further this way, get it right on that corner, it'd be brilliant. And then I'm just gonna have another go with it's not going to play, is it? Going to need to work a little bit on this coastline, because it's, I mean, I could put a small one in. Let me just see. This actually, is there a case to have two small ones rather than, we can have two small. I can get two small ones in here. Why can't I get one big one? I'm just gonna have a, yeah, it's what my instinct is to have a big one here, but I think what we're going to do is just leave it for the moment. I'm just going to hook you up to there and hook you through to there. Just accept that road. I think that's probably enough planning for this video. What we're going to do is we're going to accept all that track. So we've now got our aggregate production here, and our depot, we got ability to bring goods in. We've got a hook right round to here. I know technically the shortest distance is here, but with the current situation with trucks, it's probably not the best way, and I think we can actually let the game run now. I think what we're going to do now is just have a look round and see what's going on. Now, what someone did suggest is that to export more food to make money, and I've actually, well, I think it's this one, I've actually converted this distribution office into virtually exclusively now exporting food. And what that should do is improve our exports a little bit. I mean, it's going to take a little while to do it. I mean, we're only on the 7th of August. So what I'm going to be doing is exporting more food going forward, because we do have a surplus of crops now. And as they pointed out, that is a good way to make money. Generally, New Hope is okay. Just return to my favorite subject is loyalty. Now, one thing I will mention is happiness, because in the community report 40, they say they're going to rework the happiness mechanic, and especially with relation to, if we just pause the game, if we can find someone who's out and about. What the devs said is I think it was sport, alcohol, and culture. And what they were saying is that if these go unsatisfied, it's going to make it more difficult to get people happy. And the other thing they were hinting at is the days of getting someone to 100% happiness is not going to be quite so easy, because what they did mention was in here. See, we come to quality of flats, this is 82%, and I get the impression that this is going to have a bigger impact on somebody's happiness going forward. So and I do wonder whether what it will mean is that that will set a kind of base peak line, which you may be able to get above, depending on how well you supply all the other resources, and that may also be tied into loyalty. But there's a possibility that if you put someone in a building with very low quality of life, in fact, let's just go over to the village and see the quality of the flats is 77%. So it's very possible that somebody living in this area may never be able to get to 100%, simply because the quality of the housing they're living in is going to pull them down. I think that's going to be quite an interesting concept to work on. But we got a little bit of spare slack here, so we shouldn't have any over 21s. Let's check the loyalty here. See, the happiness is good. Loyalty is not particularly that good. Now, one thing I have been experimenting with is having a high loyalty in the universities, but a lower loyalty requirement in the classrooms. So maybe we're going to drop you down a little bit. So probably the best way to explain it is above average in the universities, average or below in the other buildings, including the security police. Because one thing I have noticed is that if you don't get security police, and one thing I have noticed is if your security police aren't working, your loyalty seems to drop quite dramatically. I also want to check my orphanages. I think I've got one over here, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, we got max employees in here, so we're okay. Things are good. And I'm just going to drop you down so maybe we'll get a few more workers into here. So what is the unemployment? We got 34 due to unemployment. I'm prepared to guess that that is in this area. I mean, our priority at the moment needs to be getting these conveyors built, because if we can get this built, it means I don't have to use trucks moving backwards and forwards. And again, in the comment I had on the previous video, I was saying they were using fleets of wagons to move stuff around, and I must admit I was reluctant to go for fleets because, like here, I've already got potential traffic jams. I'd be very interesting to know whether if you've got fleets of vehicles, whether they're wagons or trucks moving slowly, whether that does cause traffic congestion. I think overall here, I mean, our blacksmith here is coming down here. Somebody pointed out I really shouldn't be producing trucks here, and what I actually, let's just think about that, because I was considering an idea, and I think I've actually got, where is it? A production line here. You got this really small automotive mechanic here. He only needs like 12 workers. I'm just wondering whether, because we need it, we're going to need him close to, because we'll probably get, we're going to probably need to import the stuff. Although you could argue that what's being produced here, the surpluses, would then be sent to the vehicle mechanic. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe we could get a vehicle mechanic in here. Possibly in it. Let me just see, how big is it? We got I don't want a horse breeder. Got a motor. Then I think if we get a little motor mechanic like this, possibly in. When we got. Let me just see. I mean, it'd be great to put it in about there. Got a little bit of a delivery capability there. Put that footpath out. I mean, maybe if I take this little footpath, no one seems to be using it. I can. Wait, I just said no one's using it, and then you go and use it. Say for argument's sake, I take that out there, and then we. Now, one of the reasons why I'm quite interested in this little automotive mechanic is that I'm not sure if it applies to other countries, but back in the early days of vehicle manufacture, and this went right through into the 1940s, 1950s, this country kind of seemed to specialize in what you could call cottage industry mechanics, making specialist vehicles. In fact, there was a company in this country who made a vehicle called TVRs, and what they did in the early 1940s is they set up a production line in an old wheelwright's workshop in Blackpool, and it stayed there, I think, right through, I think it was almost up into the 1970s until they finally went bankrupt. And what they did was they produced literally specialist hand-built sports cars. And I think this is one of the quirks. As I say, I don't know if it was the same in Europe, because of course now when you think of car factories, you think of the big production plants they got now. But I'd be really curious. I mean, obviously, we all know about the famous Model T factory in America, which was around in 1910, 1920. But I'd be curious to find out when the first big car production factories were built in other countries. Maybe one day I'd actually have a look and see when the first big car plants were built in this country. I'd be prepared to guess that right up until possibly the beginning, it was certainly the beginning of the First World War, possibly the Second World War, because I think it was the World Wars that were the drivers to the implementation of mass production plants. And there's some fairly iconic pictures of the big tank factories that were built in Russia during the Second World War. Gone completely off on another tangent again, as usual. Apologies for that. Why haven't you picked that up? I haven't turned you off. You should be up here picking this up. Get on your job. And I think what we're going to do is get this up and running, and if the money's come piling in like it is, we'll import the materials, and we'll just get our little automotive mechanic here who can produce the trucks. Maybe we'll still produce wagons here, and any surpluses from here will could be sent. Any surplus like plastics and mechanics and electro components could be sent here. Otherwise, we'll just import them. So yeah, so I've gone completely off a tangent. I've got absolutely no idea what I'm doing now. Apologies, I am running out of time, so we're just going to have a little bit of a quick health check, make sure everything is okay. The population here is building up, but we've got another house here, so we're going to have to start kind of improving our population. We've got a power plant, got some workers in it, but we're still going to need to work on it. Of course, we're getting some steel production, but we really need these conveyors built, which is something that we need to get done. That will make a difference. I mean, I think overall we've got there. Oops. This is iron, isn't it? So we need that filled in there. We got the iron processing there. This is full up. Let me just check that's set up. And so is this. And I was just about to say we'd get the helicopter construction crews on this, but of course that's the wrong series. Yeah, so these are all allocated, and these have to be the A1 priority jobs. We just need that iron brought down. Yeah, see, it looks like we've got a bit of a loading. Yeah, because the problem is we've got trucks coming in, picking the iron up, and also we got passenger trucks coming in here, and I mean this is pretty awful. Because what I could do is, where is the pick up your route? These are construction crews delivering. I could find I think what we might be able to do is alleviate this a little bit. You got the one vehicle on here. I'm wondering if we put a worker into there. Remove you. You're there. Due to power, unload. Now the problem we're going to have is that workers coming to here will go to here as well. What are you? Let me just check. How many vehicles have we got delivering to Tudor Power? How many workers do you need? 10. I need another bus, don't I? Have I got any other... All the trees seem to have disappeared from here. Can I knock them down? Right. You. I need you. Oops. Notice that you can get a click through sometimes when you... So we're just going to... Where's the... Actually, we'll bring both of them up here. Let me just pick up the other one. Like that. And get you there. I got another gas in here. Right, we've already got a gas here. Right, we just pick up this route here. All related vehicles. And keep losing things on this map. I think that's it there. Put the line spacing on. Get you going. What that should do is, if this starts to work, let me just see. Here's the bus stop. We've got quite a lot of workers in here. So what that should do is these guys should be able to walk to there. That means that the workers won't get blocked in this queue here. Although technically it's kind of running out anyway. But I think this would be the better stick for that. They're just happily walking in, and that would also, so what that would do is means that we can ensure that we've got two ways to get workers to the power plant, which is going to be quite important, because we need to make sure this power plant doesn't work, we're in serious trouble. At the same time, we're going to get workers into there and here actually. So right guys, how many guys on your route? We got 2 of you. I think for the moment we're just going to leave them working there, but I don't really want horse-drawn wagons as part of this route. So I think for the short term, you guys can just keep dropping off workers into here, and then eventually what we'll do is we'll build this route up, so possibly get 3 buses on this. In fact, this guy actually, we got anyone out here now? Okay, we got another one. So right, let's find you. Got, had the wrong one selected. Delete that stop. Add you that route. And we're gonna find, I've got a vehicle depot over here I think, and then what we're gonna do is hook this one, grab these guys, pick you up and send you back to, if I can find it, there. Okay, we've got you, and we're going to send you here as well. That will finish off that route, because I've just noticed that we've got this here, so we can use these guys to, because we've now finished the slaughterhouse here. So what we need to do is get this finished so that we can start producing livestock here, so that we can get it into here. And that also reminds me about something else someone mentioned, was fish farms. And I think they suggested right back in the early days that I put fish farms along here, and I'll be completely honest, I forgot all about them. And maybe later on when we restructure this, we can put some fish farms in as well. So another thing we need to do is get this in functioning. We do have a spare gas, but I think I'd rather use that for over here. So maybe what we'll do is, in the spirit of things, we got one more gas here. I think we'll just make a couple of queue up a couple of these, and then once this is built, in fact, let me just put the workers on that one. Got a feeling that these guys are going to need an assist for that. Definitely running out of time now, so this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. Looks like my health is dropping again, but until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.